Hello and welcome to a very different edition of Shamps and Quirky. You'll notice that I'm not accompanied by the regular Paul Champlina, my property mate, as I normally would be, but instead, I have to say, by Paul, the property predator, as you can see. Paul, would you like to explain why you're looking like an alien out of a sci-fi film, mate?
I will. Firstly, does it come up on the screen green?
Yes.
It does. My mum always said to me, Russell, always eat your greens.
Well, you look like, I was going to say, don't take this the wrong way, mate, but you're not really the Jolly Green Giant, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm the most definitely I'm not. So basically, this is a message to our infrastructure team. Unfortunately, my camera remote work laptop didn't work, and then I've got my missus' laptop, and the video, it's turned me into the Predator. And I should be in a sci-fi film or something like that. But hopefully I'm not going to put you off.
When Paul first dialed in just now, I said, well, that's very interesting. I started recording because I just wanted to capture this particular image. So this hasn't been designed or engineered. This is actually how Paul rocked up to the podcast just now. And I said, look.
And I haven't got coronavirus, you know.
No, but I think your computer might have a virus.
Yes.
Look, I think the duration of the next 20, 25 minutes, whatever this ends up being, let's keep you on it because it's very, very funny.
Okay, good.
Paul
and we're here to entertain, aren't we, Russell?
Definitely, mate. Paul the property predator. You're like that. You know the Predator film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where you can just about
yes.
hovering. Give us a scary look.
I always wanted to go make Hollywood. I never got that far.
Yeah, I can see you, I don't know what, serving coffee as a barista in Hollywood, but
something
great,
like that.
Great. Okay,
so shall we crack on? Let's crack on if I don't put you off.
So this, fun enough, talking of films, this is episode 7. We should say 007, Paul. Episode
007.
Of
00 Predator.
And look, if ever there was an oddboard, property oddboards, it might be.
It's today.
Okay, should we get to the serious stuff?
Let's go, mate. You kick off.
A roundup of the important property stories of the week. So this is being shot on, where are we, Friday afternoon? I'm kind of losing track of the days.
Yeah, the 10th.
Been stuck in the ivory tower here as I am. So first things first, there's been a couple of stories over the last 24 hours about redundancies. Now, this is going to be a potentially prevalent theme. And I just kind of want to make a bit of an observation, I suppose, or a bit of a statement. So Stratton Parker have said as the consequence of an inquiry that's gone into them by the trade press, that they are seeking to make potentially 20% of their UK staff redundant. So that's between 200 and 300 people. And look, it's horrible. It's sad. It's tragic. Obviously, I went through a similar thing by way of administration with Emu. So look, I'm not gloating here.
No, of course not.
And then Nick Salmon at Property Industry Eye broke about 2 hours ago the fact that even Zoopla are consulting on redundancies. Who would have thought that Zoopla, owned by Silver Lake, one of the biggest Silicon Valley private equity firms, is redundant. So look, here's kind of my thing, I suppose, my view, my opinion, my statement, I suppose, that look, coronavirus has affected everybody and every business, every nook and cranny of commerce. It is blindingly obvious that in the way that it affects the property industry, there's going to be casualties, right? There's going to be a commercial issue with the majority of businesses, and they're going to have to react to that. They're going to have to cut costs. They're going to have to change strategy. Some might even change their business models.
Yeah.
What I think is really upsetting and sad, particularly for the staff, is when a company tries to hide the fact that they are making changes. Now, notwithstanding the fact that redundancies are, they're horrible. It's tragic, and we obviously think of the human element in terms of those people that are having to go and find other jobs that are challenging.
Of course.
But if the likes of Stratton Parker and Zoopla and others were just to be honest with the staff and honest with the media and the public around the necessity of it and how it's strategic, I think they'd be treated much, much better. Look, they're, without re-rehearsing it, Paul, that we've talked in the last few weeks about other businesses that have had to make changes and hidden, perhaps. And look, I think we all accept that those changes are going to be necessary. So I think businesses need to grow a pair, really, and be honest.
I think on that point, Russell, announcing job losses is the hardest and the most terrible thing you can do, as a business and the effect it has. And I think that, various different businesses run their businesses differently when it comes to PR. Okay. And I think you're right. I do agree with you. I think, you know, bad news like that is always bad news. And I think possibly with regard to, I think a lot of companies will see it as a sign of weakness. That's why they will try and maybe smoke screen it to a certain extent, you know. And I think I think reading and seeing the PR for what it is and learning by others, I think is really important.
Yeah, but I know a little bit about PR.
Yes, of course.
My advice would be, as it has been in the past to people, is that just be on the front foot. And look, I know it seems awkward, weak and shameful. I mean, I don't think it is, particularly under the current circumstances, because it's affecting everybody commercially, this horrible virus.
It's common.
My point really is, it's better to come out and say, look, we're having to do this. And actually Airbnb did it really well a few weeks ago. They said, and I think it was Airbnb, wasn't it? It was the business that said that they wouldn't lay anybody off, but then had to. So they issued a statement saying why they apologised for saying they wouldn't in the first place, and now we're going to have to. It's better to be on the front foot than it is have a journalist that will find out. It will
and he'll pick holes.
And then says, well, is it true? And then they scramble around in the background for 4 or 5 hours. Then they issue a vanilla statement that says how wonderful everything is, and then at the end of it, oh, and by the way, yes, we are consulting on a small number of redundancies. It's only trifling. It doesn't really matter. Look, just as I say, grow up, grow a pair. It's horrible, it's tragic, but it's necessary. Be on the front foot, be strategic, and don't hide it, because that's far worse in the long run from the
I think but point taken. I do agree with you on that. Let's put some good news. Stamp duty.
Yes,
good news.
Was there news on stamp duty this week? I think there might have been.
Yes.
Rishi Sunak, who's now being tipped as the next Prime Minister for the next 400 years, because everyone seems to think he's doing a fantastic job. And look, I don't deny that he is, but this is a collective decision. It's not Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, of course. He's just the front man.
At the dispatch box saying, do you know what? I think we'll abolish stamp duty and cost the Treasury coffers £4 billion a year. This is very much a cabinet decision and obviously approved by the Prime Minister. We've talked about this. The stamp duty relief, the holiday that Rishi Sunak stood up and announced on Wednesday afternoon, has been called for by people like me, you, and so on for weeks and weeks and weeks. I lobbied my MP on the 26th of March to say, Alex, who happens to be the Parliamentary Private Secretary to Boris Johnson, the way to restart the economy is to do it via the housing market. That's a very important thing to do. And so, look, I'm not saying it's not, but good that they've done it. Now, the effect is the abolishing stamp duty up to 500 grand, just for those that don't realise, that's £15,000 of relief.
Definitely. For main property, for your main residence.
Main property, I know you're going to talk about the effect on certain other elements insofar as how they can be differently affected.
But it's a really good idea.
Yeah, look, until March the 31st, so it gives 8.5 months now for someone to start buying a property. Be careful, I would say, to buyers and indeed sellers that are going to buy on, because it can take, we know, 6 months at least from the point that you list or start buying to complete. Correct. I think you'll potentially see some data very soon from a well-known commentator on the length of time that it takes now to sell and convey a property, and it's actually higher now, I think, than it ever has been. So, look, broadly, very, very good news. I can tell you on the ground floor, from an estate agency point of view, because I still dabble, as most people realise, there has been an instant further uplift in buyer demand and activity. Because actually things weren't that bad for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks as a consequence of the property market unlocking anyway. So this is a double boost, Paul, I think. So look, it's great.
No, it's really, really good news. And I spoke to a pal of mine who's a mortgage broker. He said he was on the phone all day yesterday. So it's really good news.
There is a good bounce. So there is a but, which you're going to tell us about, as in...
Well, no, there's no real but, really. I mean, obviously, you know, landlords still have to pay the additional 3% stamp duty. You're quite right with regard to transactions. They take longer. Good news for conveyancing solicitors, obviously, and mortgage brokers. You know, we've got interest rate on the floor. It's a bounce, and that's the whole point of why the government have done that, to stimulate. And I totally agree with you, and it was a really good move by the government. The housing market underpins the economy, and they brought us back early, which was really good.
I guess the but was going to be that I would have liked to have seen the relief extend to second homes and buy-to-let investors. So although...
Yeah, they were never going to do that.
Well, but, you know, if you really want to stimulate the economy, let all buyers get off the hook up to 500 grand, because obviously under 500 grand a buy-to-let investor...
Yeah, but the reality is, Russell, the reality is that if you want home ownership in this country, Okay, you scrap stamp duty, obviously for main residents. If you scrapped it for landlords, the reality is all those landlords will be fighting for those properties for the first-time buyers as well.
And I think that's a different debate, though. And I agree if we want to promote home ownership. But look, buy-to-let investors provide, as you well know, the stock, the fuel for those 3 million renters every year that need rental properties. So I think that's a separate stage 2 kind of debate. If we just want to stimulate the economy, I think that you need to take the leash off of every buyer. So I think that, but I'd also say what I was surprised to read is that there are a number of commentators over the last few days that have actually criticised the move by Rishi Sunak to provide a stamp to the end of March. 1 or 2 have said that they wonder what will happen after March the 31st. Well, I'll tell you, I'll take you back to what happened with morose back in 88, 89, I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, of course, 3 or 4 months after the changes, the market was dead. So look, we need to expect that. But that's not a reason not to introduce a stamp duty holiday.
No, I mean, it's a stimulus, Russell. I mean, they can't prolong it forever. I mean, obviously, people that have done deals prior to this coming in, they feel a bit sore that they weren't reaping the benefits of this, of this axing of stamp duty. But it is what it is. It's about stimulus.
That was the other criticism. People saying, well, hang on, so I completed in June, so I should get a rebate. Well, no, you shouldn't, because obviously, when do we go back? Do you go back a month or 3 months, 6 months, 12 months?
Yeah, exactly. It's never ending, that argument. But that gives me a nice link onto some other property news, Russell. With my, you haven't started. You stopped laughing at me now, and my looks and my green predator looks. You're getting used to it.
Get used to your
getting used to it.
Look, Paul, you look pretty weird in the first place, mate. So it's not that much of a departure from me.
I don't look like an ex-girlfriend of yours, do I? Is that why you're getting used to me? After a few drinks.
What are you trying to say? Me and aliens. Yeah, I did get abducted once, and it happened.
Russell, we knew years ago you've been abducted by an alien. Let's not even go there, mate. We know you're a bit doolally. Let's talk about Paragon Mortgages. So Paragon Mortgages have pulled their buy-to-let offerings from the student HMO market, but really because we have seen a demise and a bit of a collapse in the student HMO market because, of course, what's going on with universities closing, and they've got quite twitchy. And I mean, there's still some products out there that maximum 75% LTV. But that was a really interesting and telling move by Paragon.
And look, I guess look, there's definitely going to be question marks over certain things like employment, unemployment, and for sure you can understand Paragon's philosophy in that they're anticipating that some students won't go back to physical learning online.
Correct. And they won't renew tenancies.
But look, but we also saw weeks ago a lot of lenders in the resi market, the standard resi market, pulling products and putting anything over 60% loan to value. All that. All that will come back.
That was a panic. It will all come back. It will all come back, especially with the stimulus of the stamp duty.
Once those lenders see that prices are not going to drop, which brings me on nicely to our bet, by the way, Paul.
Here we go.
Then they'll be back to 90-95% loan to values.
Listen, Russell, you've had a proper Brucey bonus with Rishi, haven't you? Cutting the stamp duty.
Knew it was going to happen. So there you go.
Of course you did. Let's not even go there. Inside some of your predictions in the past.
Insider dealing. Oh, mate, my predictions on the house market actually have been pretty spot on. Unlike other commentators and pundits that I could mention that continually talk the market down and say that.
And if I gave you a chance, Russ, you'd love to mention them, but we're not going to do that now. Let's move swiftly on.
I'm not going to do it. But talking of entities actually that are normally pretty morose, I was delighted to see the RICS research published this week. So the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors, who publish every month or so, Sentiment, which was, despite the fact they're normally sort of fairly doom and gloom, was very positive. So they're acknowledging that sales, inquiries, listings are all up. Their medium to long term view is still slightly negative, but actually far, far more positive than the last time they published numbers. So frankly, if the RICS are saying that everything's probably going to be okay and it's on the up, then you can kind of multiply that by 4 or 5, I reckon. So
I had a glimpse of that, and that was really positive. Let me take you now to we're going
abroad.
We're going to go abroad, And I went for something a little bit different this week. I went for the Tenant from Hell. Now, as you know, I know all about Tenants from Hell. And actually, I just found out at News of the Press. Pardon?
You've evicted loads of them.
I've done many in my time. Over 40,000 we've done at Landlord Action.
If you're not on their door looking like you do now, I think they'd run even quicker out the door.
I'll tell you what, I'd be on big commission from landlords to get their properties back rather than wait 9 to 12 months in the court system as it is at the moment. Actually, by the way, I just got an email from the Ministry of Justice. They want to do a video call with me and get some feedback about the virtual world of tech in laws.
I thought you were going to say they want to prosecute you for the way you're looking today.
Well, no, yeah, I can't turn up for the meeting with the Ministry of Justice looking like that. They won't entertain me.
Prosecute you for scaring small children, perhaps.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, yeah, there is that, I suppose. So, yeah, I found the tenant from hell in Toronto, a lady called Nina Willis, and she basically blagged her way into property. Now, I've come across the worst tenant from hell we had at Landlord Action was a guy called Anthony Alexander. He cost £148,000 to 6 landlords, and I exposed him on a TV programme called Inside Out, which I do a lot of. Wow. This woman, she tricked up to 10 landlords with fake referencing, costing over 80,000 Canadian dollars in rent arrears, and she just hoodwinked. I mean, I've had this argument and I've been on government consultations and I've mentioned, why don't we have a bad tenant database? We're talking about bad tenants that will not pay the rent and you have a money order. I mean, obviously that's not going to, that's never happened.
They're not on hard times. They're just doing it on purpose. So
yeah, they're doing it on purpose. But
are they subletting? They come in, false references, rent a load of property.
Yeah, we have all of that. We've got subletting. I mean, it's, you name it, we've got it. We really have. I mean, obviously at the moment we're struggling at Landlord Action for our landlords because we've got, I think, 505 to 550 cases stuck in the court system until the 23rd of August. So I found this woman, and I'm just and we have a road landlord and a road tenant road agent database, but we don't have a bad tenant database, which could be up for debate, because obviously you could put landlords could put them on there and there could be a lot of defamation and all that type of stuff. They have a bad tenant database in Australia, I know that, where you put a name in, because obviously all our databases and GDPR, we can't share the data. So I can't share my data with, with a rent guarantee company and see, so that's the problem. So you can't pick it up.
Why are bad tenants, in terms of tenants not paying, why are they not on credit reference agency lists?
So that's where we're going to go with that. And that's a very good point. And I know the government are looking at, because the government are looking at tenant passporting, and quite rightly, and it's a good link that you mentioned that, is that when a tenant makes their payment, a bit like when we make our mortgage payment or card payment, their rent payment should be noted, and it helps them build their credit rating up when they want to get a mortgage. So I think we're going to Experian, Equifax, I think we are going to go that way, and I think the government will look at that with regard to tenant passporting.
There are businesses doing it like Credit Ladder and so on that are starting to do it, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and it can only be a good thing. I mean, because obviously the biggest problem that you have, Russell, is when a landlord takes a tenant to court, even if there is rent arrears, they never enforce it, so it doesn't come out as a county court judgment. So you don't know what happened the last 6 or 12 months, and they owe the other landlord 6-8 grand. Yeah. So that was that, and that actually brings us to, I'm going to do the Prize Property Plum of the week now.
Yippee.
Okay.
Go on.
Yippee. We're going to give you a week off. Okay.
Well, a week off from the lawyers.
Week off from the lawyers, and the cases of libel, a bit like Johnny Depp in the High Court. All right, we're going to try and stay away from libel cases.
Who is it? I'm intrigued.
It is a chap called Andre Peter Montat, and he was based in Buckinghamshire. He had an agency called Barrington Property, and basically. And basically, he was a letting and estate agent. He stole about £70,000 worth of rents and deposits. Okay. Now, this is coming close to my heart because, as you know, I work for Hamilton Fraser. We own My Deposits. We own the Property Redress and Client Money Protect. So we give client money protection insurance to people that pass, and that is mandatory. Anyone that manages a property or takes rent has to have client money protection. And it was brought in because of agents like this. And I've come across numerous agents stealing rents in the past. And as you know, I name and shame. And I won't disappoint any further. My new series coming up, I've just heard is coming up in next, I think it's 3-4 weeks on Channel 5. We expose 2 dodgy letting agents stealing rents on that series as well.
You confront them. You confront
them. I confront them in their shop. Yeah. One of them puts his hand on me.
So Watchdog Matthew Albright style, yeah.
A little bit like that, yeah. That's what I always do. Dodgy letting agents. I do Airbnb. If I'm lucky, I'll go to a brothel, Russell. Love going to a brothel with the TV cameras.
Do you now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. With TV cameras, so you can play it back.
Yeah, with TV cameras, they give me a bit of petty cash. No, I'm only joking, right? So we go in there and we expose. And obviously all these nightmare tenants. And you've got to realise, on the TV show, it's not just it's not tenants that fall in hard times. We don't want to show those stories, right? And it was all filmed pre-COVID-19. It's tenants that, how can I say it? Pardon my French, taking the piss. You know, that will basically make a landlord's life hell. And they would any bit of criminality or fraud, they would try and make money out of property. And of course, the landlords are picking the pieces up. And a lot of landlords, they just exit. They don't want to be landlords anymore.
Yeah. No. And you do a worthy job in that respect. And I think anybody that is proven to have done something wrong, whether it's a tenant not paying, whether it's certainly agents nicking money. I've always wondered. We've had a couple where I live in Brentwood over the years, where they close their shop and they go off with tens of thousands.
Well, they close the company down. And it's all down to trading standards as well, Russell. You need trading standards to put people in prison like this guy.
Where they've not even bothered putting the client monies, the deposit monies, into protection and so on. It's absolutely outrageous. And often the police say, well, it's civil. If there's an intention to steal, then it's theft, isn't it? Simple as that. So
100%,
good for you in that respect. Okay, well, look, I guess that's probably all we've got time for till next week. I think we said before, I'll say it again, and it's definitely becoming more and more true as the days roll on, that a week is a very long time in property. And I'm going to keep saying,
you know what, Russell, on that point, you're very right. I mean, we are now in week 15, 16. It's been so bad for me, I've turned into a bloody alien.
No, yeah. Well, at least you're eating your greens. Cool. All right. Look, good to talk to you as ever, my property brother. I think we're going to have to caption this, Ben, actually, with Paul the Predator. We're definitely going to have that underneath Paul's
definitely
image there. Look forward to talking to you next Thursday, Friday. Ready for next weekend for another roundup of all the property news with a bit of banter from me and my alien friend here. See you next time.
Keep safe.
Not scary at all.